I'm going to tell you something the world doesn't want you to know. I'm going to reveal to you the invisible system by which millions of men and women are enslaved every single day. And I am not speaking metaphorically. I am speaking precisely, scientifically, spiritually, and most of all, truthfully. There is a force in this world, a sinister intelligence that works ceaselessly to steal your thoughts, capture your emotions, weaken your will, and ultimately destroy the life you could have lived. I call this force the devil, not the creature of fire and horns from folklore, but a real psychological and spiritual phenomenon. A consciousness of fear, confusion, addiction, and passivity that manipulates and governs the masses under the disguise of culture, comfort, and conformity. This devil has one supreme method of domination, and that is drift. Now listen carefully, because if you understand drift, you will begin to understand why so many people, even those with talent, intelligence, and good intentions, end up failures. Drift is the devil's method of mental control. Drift is what happens when a man does not take possession of his own mind. Drift is when he allows his thoughts to be shaped by outside influences. Drift is when he moves through life by habit, by impulse, by fear, without purpose, without plan, without intention. Drifting is not laziness. It is far more dangerous than that. Laziness is obvious. But drifting wears the mask of normal life. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you scroll through noise, you repeat. And in all that motion, you are not moving toward anything. You are merely existing, operating under the devil's silent guidance. This is how the devil wins. He doesn't need to shout. He only needs you to stop thinking. He doesn't need to frighten you. He only needs you to live without vision. He doesn't need to trap you. He only needs you to become addicted to comfort and indifferent to growth. The devil controls people by teaching them to fear failure, to fear criticism, to fear poverty, to fear what others will think. Once fear takes root in a mind, it begins to self-regulate. The devil no longer has to speak directly. The man will sabotage himself. He will stop before he begins. He will shrink before he grows. He will hesitate instead of decide. Fear is the devil's atmosphere. Drift is his method. But he has many tools. He uses habit. If a man wakes up and immediately surrenders his attention to distraction, if he eats without thought, speaks without aim, listens without discernment, then the devil smiles. Because that man is shaping his own prison cell. He uses schooling. You may find this offensive, but truth cares little for comfort. Most schools are designed to condition obedience, not thought, to reward compliance, not creativity, to standardize the mind, not to liberate it. A child with curiosity is often labeled disruptive. A student who questions the system is considered a problem. And so from the very beginning, the devil trains men and women to trade their individuality for approval. He uses religion. Yes, even the systems meant to connect man to truth can be twisted. When faith becomes fear-based dogma, when it is used to guilt and shame, when it teaches men that suffering is holiness and thinking is rebellion, then the devil walks proudly in sacred halls. He uses media, constant noise, opinions without substance, scandals, division, trivialities, endless waves of fear, conflict, and desire. Why? Because a distracted mind is a drifting mind. A man who is addicted to stimulation cannot hear the still small voice of his own conscience. And most cleverly, he uses pleasure. You will think this is strange, but the devil loves to make people comfortable. Because once a man is addicted to comfort, he will avoid growth. He will resist discipline. He will label ambition as arrogance. He will trade destiny for dopamine. A generation trained to chase comfort will never challenge their rulers. This is how the devil works, not with pitchforks and flames, but with habits, influences, and cultural norms that sedate, confuse, and lull the mind into a passive state. And once the mind becomes passive, it is no longer yours. I have interviewed this force directly. I have extracted its methods, its tactics, its admissions, and I have documented it for the 1 in 10,000 who is ready to hear. The devil told me clearly, I control the majority of people simply because they refuse to think for themselves. Most people live in reaction. They wait for permission. They follow the crowd. They fear standing alone. They fear judgment more than failure. They obey without question, not out of virtue, but out of conditioning. And so the devil does not have to chase these people. They offer themselves freely. Now I will speak plainly. If you are not actively taking possession of your own mind, then someone or something already has it. You do not escape the devil by accident. You do not break free from drift without effort. You must seize your mind with intensity. You must claim your thoughts like a king claims his land. You must decide with finality that you will no longer be ruled by fear, by trends, by conditioning, or by weakness. The beginning of freedom is definiteness of purpose. This is the first antidote to drift. If you do not know where you are going, you are already drifting. The devil loves indecision. The man who wakes up each day with no mission, no goal, no burning desire, he is easy prey. But the man with a definite major purpose, he cannot be owned. He rises with fire. He moves with direction. He evaluates his choices based on alignment with his purpose. And because of this, he becomes self-possessed. You must choose that purpose for yourself. Not what others say is respectable, not what society says is safe. You must dig deep and ask, what do I truly want? What do I feel called to create? What do I wish to become? And when you find it, claim it, own it, write it, obsess over it, let it become the center of your mental world. Then you must apply self-discipline. Because without discipline, even the best ideas dissolve into regret. Discipline is what separates the thinker from the doer. The drifter waits to feel ready. The disciplined man moves despite how he feels. He acts when others hesitate. He builds while others scroll. He develops habits that align with his purpose. And here's a truth the devil does not want you to know. Every act of discipline is an act of spiritual warfare. Every time you say no to distraction, yes to your higher self, yes to your goals, you are fighting back against the invisible forces of drift. You must also cultivate faith, not blind faith, but directed faith, a belief in yourself, in your vision, in your Creator, and in the laws that govern the universe. Because when you believe that you were created with intention and endowed with creative power, you stop seeing yourself as a victim. You stop obeying fear. You begin to act with divine confidence. The devil cannot possess a mind filled with faith. He flees from purpose. He trembles at discipline. He cannot stand in the presence of belief. And yet, he waits patiently for most people to forget, to compromise, to surrender their will for convenience. But you who are listening, you have been warned. And with warning comes responsibility. You must now examine your life with brutal honesty. Where are you drifting? Where have you surrendered your mind? What habits have you allowed to become gateways for control? Who in your circle is speaking the devil's language of fear and limitation? You must cleanse your mind like a temple, purge the influences, redefine your standards, take possession of your attention. Your mind is the only territory the devil truly wants, because once he has that, he doesn't need anything else. But the reverse is also true. Once you own your mind, you cannot be owned by anyone or anything. You become free. And freedom, once tasted, makes drift unbearable. You cannot begin to free yourself from the devil's influence until you understand one core fact. The mind is either directed or dominated. There is no middle ground. You either use it or it will be used. And the devil knows this. That is why he has spent generations teaching men and women not how to think, but how to obey, how to fall in line, how to stay afraid. He conditions you to worship safety over freedom, to chase comfort over conviction, to value opinion over truth. He has worked through every institution, schooling, religion, government, media, to subtly erase the courage of independent thought. And what has it produced? An army of people who look alive on the outside but are dead within. People who wear masks of routine but live as prisoners of fear. People who laugh, who work, who socialize, but never take one bold step toward who they could become. This is not accidental. This is drift perfected. The devil's brilliance lies in this. He convinces people to call slavery freedom. He convinces you that your conditioned habits are your personality, that your insecurities are humility, that your fear of success is wisdom, that your craving for approval is kindness. And if you do not investigate your beliefs, you will live your entire life protecting the very prison that holds you. The moment you accept the idea that you were born to obey rather than born to create, the devil wins. But let us not dwell on the mechanisms of your captivity any longer. Let us now examine the path to liberation. The first and most urgent step you must take is to reestablish authority over your mind. Not temporarily, not casually, not as a weekend exercise, but as a daily, deliberate act of sovereignty. You must watch your thoughts like a hawk. The average man allows anything to enter his mind: complaints, criticism, distractions, lies, and never questions their origin or their consequence. Would you let a thief enter your home, sit on your couch, and drink from your cup without resistance? Then why do you allow fear to settle in your thinking? Why do you allow mediocrity to become your inner dialogue? The devil enters through the doorway of passivity. You must close that door permanently. One of the greatest tools at your disposal is autosuggestion, the deliberate repetition of empowering, self-affirming statements until they imprint upon your subconscious mind. The devil does not fear your willpower in a moment. He fears your conditioning over time, because what you repeat becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes your reality. You must therefore affirm, daily and deliberately, I am the master of my mind. I am the architect of my destiny. I do not drift, I decide. I do not fear, I focus. I do not follow, I lead. These are not empty words, these are weapons. When spoken with belief, they begin to rebuild the mental architecture the devil once owned. They begin to overwrite the programming of drift with the code of purpose. And now let us speak of environment, for no man is immune to his surroundings. The devil uses your environment as a constant source of influence. He surrounds you with people who speak his language, people who gossip, who complain, who justify their inaction with spiritual-sounding nonsense like everything happens for a reason, while refusing to take a single step of responsibility. You must be ruthless with your environment. Anything that dulls your purpose is an agent of the devil, whether it knows it or not. Eliminate it, replace it, upgrade it. Fill your space with reminders of your mission. Place your written purpose on your wall, on your desk, on your bathroom mirror. Read books that challenge your thinking, that confront your habits, that fuel your spirit. Surround yourself with people who think upward, people who refuse to drift, people who call you higher, not people who drag you down. And let us not forget the battlefield of time. The devil's second favorite tool after drift is delay. He whispers, there's no rush, you have time, just rest a little longer. And he knows every day you postpone your mission, you weaken your belief that it matters. Action is your liberation, not tomorrow, now. The moment you act on your purpose, you sever the chains of passivity. The moment you pick up the pen, make the call, set the goal, show up, speak boldly, the devil loses control. Because he cannot possess a moving target, he can only haunt the man standing still. If you understood how much of your destiny is shaped in small moments, the moment you choose to rise early or sleep in, to read truth or consume noise, to act boldly or delay once again, you would never drift again. The devil is not defeated in one grand gesture. He is defeated daily through discipline. This is why you must build rituals, habits that align with your higher self. Wake up with gratitude. Feed your mind before your body. Create before you consume. Reflect before you react. These are not empty routines. These are acts of rebellion, each one a blow against the hypnotic rhythm the devil uses to lull men into mediocrity. And let me now speak to your fear, for fear is the devil's oxygen. He will use every possible fear to make you shrink. Fear of what others think, fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of success, fear of embarrassment. But hear me now. Your fear is not a warning, it is a compass. Whatever you fear most, that is where your freedom lives. The devil told me himself he only controls those who allow fear to govern their decisions. But the moment you begin to act in spite of fear, the illusion begins to crack. Fear fades when faced. Action kills it. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement despite fear. And every act of courage weakens the devil's grip. You must train yourself to lean into fear. Public speaking, starting a business, saying no, telling the truth, pursuing your vision, these are not terrifying. They are tests. And you pass them with action. And now I will tell you something few men ever understand. The devil cannot stop a man who is driven by service. If your mission is only to serve yourself, the devil will feed your ego until it becomes your cage. But if your purpose is to uplift others, to speak truth, to build something eternal, to shine light into dark places, then your power multiplies beyond measure. The devil fears the man whose ambition is rooted in service, because such a man cannot be bought, he cannot be manipulated, he cannot be distracted, his mission is too important, his life too meaningful. And now, if you are still listening, you must be wondering, can a man ever be fully free of the devil? I will answer with this. Freedom is not an event, it is a practice. Each day, you live in alignment with your purpose. Each time you choose discipline over drift, belief over fear, clarity over confusion, you are winning, you are free, you are awake. You may still be tempted, you may still stumble, but the difference is now you know, and knowledge, when applied, is the devil's death sentence. You are not like the others. You are no longer asleep. You are not drifting. You are deciding. And the more you decide, the more you build, the more you think with purpose and act with faith, the devil no longer owns your mind. He may speak, but you will not hear. He may whisper, but you will not obey. Because now you are in control. Once a man understands how the devil works, the burden of responsibility becomes absolute. You cannot unsee what has been revealed. You cannot return to comfort and drift and passive living without knowing deep in your bones that you are choosing your own destruction. For the greatest trick the devil has played is convincing people that they are free, while they live as slaves to their environment, their emotions, their fears, and their unconscious habits. But once you wake up, once you seize your mind, once you break from the hypnotic rhythm that has ruled your thinking, you no longer get to pretend. You are now responsible for everything. Your time, your attention, your growth, your influence, and most of all, your choices. Because now you know that every single day you are either aligning with your Creator or submitting to the control of the adversary. There is no neutrality in life. You are always moving in one direction or the other. Growth or decay, strength or surrender, purpose or passivity, vision or drift. Now let us look deeper into this final truth. The devil can only rule where your will is weak. His power is not absolute. It is borrowed. He gains access through your lack of decision, your lack of faith, your failure to discipline your own impulses. If you wish to defeat the devil's influence for good, you must become a master of your will. You do this by refusing to negotiate with weakness. You no longer ask, do I feel like it? You no longer wait for motivation. You no longer explain your inaction. You do the thing that must be done, regardless of comfort, regardless of fear, regardless of mood. This is willpower in action. And willpower is not born, it is built. Every time you follow through on your word, your will grows. Every time you deny temptation, your will strengthens. Every time you choose discipline over indulgence, your will sharpens into a blade the devil cannot dull. But you must train it every single day. For if you stop even briefly, the hypnotic rhythm begins to creep back in. Now let us speak of the company you keep, for this may be the single greatest influence on your mind aside from your own thoughts. The devil works through people, through their attitudes, through their fear, through their weakness, through their small-mindedness. And if you spend your time with people who drift, you will begin to drift with them, not by force, but by osmosis. Be honest now. Who do you spend time with? Do they challenge your excuses or validate them? Do they fan the flames of your purpose or smother them with sarcasm and apathy? Do they build or do they belittle? You must choose your associations like you choose your thoughts, deliberately. Cut the ones who weaken you, elevate the ones who call you higher, and if no one around you matches your vision, then walk alone until you find them. Better solitude in truth than company in drift. And now let us look at how the devil thrives in the modern world, through endless distraction. The devices in your hands, the noise in your ears, the images on your screens, they are designed not to educate you, but to capture you. Every app, every alert, every flashing headline is a net. And once your attention is gone, your mind is no longer yours. You must train your mind to focus again. You must reclaim the power of deep, undistracted thought. This is where your ideas live. This is where your purpose refines. This is where your vision expands. Block time to think, to write, to read, to plan. These are sacred acts in a world that no longer values them. The devil cannot enter a focused mind. You must protect your focus like a treasure, because that's what it is. Let me also remind you of this. You are the gatekeeper of your inner world. The devil may knock, but you decide who enters. He may tempt, but you choose how to respond. He may distract, but you determine your focus. And every choice either strengthens or weakens your gate. So you must become a man of standards. What thoughts do you allow? What emotions do you entertain? What influences do you consume? What habits do you repeat? What vision do you pursue? A man with high standards is a fortress, and the devil has no tools for such a fortress. He is powerless against the man who guards his mind, sharpens his will, disciplines his body, and directs his energy toward a purpose bigger than himself. This leads us to one of the final, most powerful laws, the law of service. The devil cannot defeat the man who lives for something greater than himself. When your mission is to serve, to inspire, to uplift, to lead, to build, to impact, the devil's grip weakens. Because now your actions are no longer rooted in ego, in vanity, in status, they are rooted in truth. You cannot drift when your cause is clear. You cannot be manipulated when your values are strong. You cannot be silenced when your voice belongs to a greater mission. That is why the devil fears leaders. Real leaders. Those who live with integrity, who build with conviction, who speak with clarity, and serve with humility, because such men become immune to drift. Their thoughts are too focused. Their faith is too solid. Their habits are too refined. Their environment is too intentional. Their life is too aligned. Now let me give you the final weapon, the one the devil hates most, gratitude. It may seem simple, but it is not weak. Gratitude is a shield. When practiced daily, it rewires your brain, it strengthens your spirit, it kills fear, it destroys envy, it silences doubt. The man who lives in gratitude cannot drift. He cannot be controlled. Because he is grounded in abundance, he sees opportunity everywhere. He acts not from lack, but from strength. Every morning, remind yourself, I have been given another day to win, another day to build, another day to live awake, aware, and on purpose. Thank your Creator. Thank your mind. Thank your challenges, for they are shaping you. Thank your past, for it has taught you. Thank your enemies, for they have sharpened your will. Gratitude is not softness, it is power. It puts you in control. Now, let us return to where we began. The devil controls most people's minds, but not because he is strong, because they are unaware, because they drift, because they obey without question, because they live without purpose and fear without reason. But not you, not anymore. You now know how he works. You now see the game. You now hold the tools. The only question that remains is, will you use them? Will you take full control of your mind every day without exception? Will you choose purpose over comfort? Will you reject fear even when it screams? Will you break from the masses and walk the path of discipline, faith, focus, and freedom? Will you become a man the devil cannot control? You can, and you must, because the world is starving for such men. Men who think, who act, who lead, who build, who decide. Men who live not as prisoners of fear, but as protectors of truth. That is who you are now. No more drifting, no more delay. You are free. And the devil no longer owns your mind.